The first wine that we're tasting today is from an area called the Campi Flegrei, which is just up the coast from Naples. It's an entire appellation that is planted on its own roots. There is no grafting apparently anywhere in this appellation, which is, I think, a situation I've certainly never come across before. Rootstock can make a big difference to the amount of sugar that's generated as the grape ripens, and hence, of course, the amount of alcohol that's produced. These vineyards look like a vegetable garden with vines growing in the middle. There's fava beans everywhere, and many of the stretches of vineyards are being used to also grow cabbages and leeks and other vegetables. It's if we talk about natural winemaking, this is one of the most natural vineyards that I've ever seen. All of these wines are made in what I think of as a transparent style, which is to say without the intrusive cellar techniques. These wines don't use, of course, any wood. There is no malolactic in any of these wines. The first of this next flight of wines is Piedi Rosso. Some of these wines are substantial and chewy, particularly the ones that are based on Aglianico. But this Piedi Rosso shows a somewhat lighter, more forward stylistic example of the same thing. This winery is also making two reserve wines. There's a Falangina from a single old vineyard, which we'll be bringing in at some point this year. And there's a red wine made from an indigenous variety, which we'll be bringing in at some point when they work through the first vintage that had too much oak on it. Vincenzo, the son, when he took over the vinification, and his father had the courage to completely hand the reins over to him all at once in one year, which must have been a kind of heart-stopping moment for him, I imagine. And he's using a technique of taking out the seeds from the fermentation and then toasting them and then returning them to the fermentation. And he finds that this changes the texture of the wine. So he's not adding anything different to the wine. And this is another way of using the grape entirely without actually adding any extraneous material to the wine.